Welcome to this Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report, 2400 points.
In the first corner, Vampire Counts with 5 direwolves, a unit of 5 X-Wraith. Then from the left we have a Vampire Lord with Auger Blade, Dragon Helm, Talisman of Preservation, Quick Blood, Red Fury, Fear-Incarnate, and is a level 4 Vampires. He has also with him a hero with Enchanted Shield, Sword of Swift Slaying, Red Fury, and level 2 of Shadow. In front of them is a unit of 40 Grave Guards with great weapons. On their right, in the ring, they were placed behind because they were falling, is a Corpse Cart, and next to the Corpse Cart is a Coven Throne. I know it looks like a Mortis engine, but it really is used as Coven Throne in this game. And then on the right of the Coven Throne is a unit of 40 ghouls. My opponent didn't have the cards, so here are the spells: Invocation of Nenhek, Vanel's Danse Macabre, Hellish Vigor, Gaze of Nagash, and the hero has Spirit Leech and Doom and Darkness. And in the next corner, Bretonnians with Lord Gizedric. He's got the Grail Vow, Sword of the Lady, Virtue of Audacity, a Charm Shield, the Ruby Ring, and he's mounting a Royal Pegasus. Next to him is a unit of Pegasus Knight, Romel Zephyrs. From the left is a unit of 10 Knight Errant, full command with a Banner of Errantry, with Lord Parsifal, my general. He's got the Heartwood Lance, Tress of Isolde, the Virtue of Heroism, and an Enchanted Shield. We also have Tristan, the Paladin BSB, with Gromril Helm and a Trister Shard. They have also the Damsel Magdalene with them, with a level 1 of Beast, and she's got a Dispel Scroll. Right to that unit is a unit of 11 Knight of the Realm. With them is Jeanlon, a Paladin with Sword of Swift Slaying, Shield and Lance. The unit is full commanded and has the Banner of Swiftness. Touching the forest is my unit of 10 Archers with a Brazier. Next to them is a unit of 7 Questing Knights with a Musician and great weapons. In them you have Gontron, a Paladin with the Questing Vow, the Virtue of the Impetuous Knight, and a great weapon. There is also Baltanar, a Paladin with a Questing Vow, the Cuirass of Fortune, and a great weapon. Next to the Questing Knights on the right is my second unit of Pegasus Knights, and behind them is my 2 units of Trebuchet. For magic, the Damsel gets Wisdom Wild Form. I win the Vanguard roll, and I move my left unit of Pegasus Knight closer to block his Diadem. And on the right, my unit of Pegasus Knight is taking a slight angle to have a view and visibility of his unit, maybe to have a charge of opportunity in their turn 1. Vampire Count turn 1. He moves his X-Wraith a bit closer to rip some souls, then moves the dogs all the way forward to block my charges. Most of the rest of the army move up, as you can see that. Vampire Count, Magic Phase, he rolls a double 6 and gets 2 channels. Fortunately it's maxed out, so only 12 dice. Only 12 dice, good times. Good times. He gets Bubble, Always Strike First on most of his units. He then casts Doom and Darkness on my Knight Errant, which gives them -3 leadership. I use most of my dice to dispel that because -3 leadership, they will most likely fail their impetuous charge and offer the flank to the rest of his army after charging the dogs right in front of them. He then casts Spirit Leech on Damsel. I fail to dispel. She gets a wound and fails the ward save. He then casts reroll to hit and reroll to wound on the Ghouls unit, which I failed to dispel. There's no shooting, there's no combat. That's the end of turn 1 for Vampire Count. Knights of Bretonnia turn 1. The Peg Knights on the right take the opportunity that he moved his Ghouls unit so close to the building not to get a flank charge that he opened a flank to the Coven. So I'm gonna charge that unit. The rest of my army, I don't fancy going in. I'm not ready. He's buffed up to the teeth, so there's no way I'm gonna rush. So I shuffle a bit. I move my left unit of Pegasus Knights a bit backwards so they not charge or hit by the X-Wraith, and I move my Lord in sight of the X-Wraith. On to the magic phase. I get 8 dice, and I cast the buffed up Whiston Wildform on the Peg Knights who is in combat with the Coven. I get 21, and that goes off, which is awesome. Then 2 dice Fireball from the Ruby Ring from the Lord on the Pegasus, and I hit the Wraith. I get 5 hits, 4 wounds. That's a Wraith unit pretty much neutralized now. Shooting for Bretonnia. The archers hit the dogs 5 times and wounds twice, which isn't bad. The first trebuchet scatters from the Graveguard and hits the skeleton units, causes 11 hits, 8 wounds. I guess fortunate. The second trebuchet, however, misfires and loses crew and cannot shoot this turn. The Vanguarded Peg combat on the right hand side against the Coven. They pass their fear check. The combat's pretty much a wash, passes all his regen but cannot wound. My Pegasus Knight with toughness 5. However, due to combat resolution, I still pass 2 wounds thanks to the charge and the flank. Vampire counts, turn 2. The Coven Thrones gets the bubble in the 8 inches, which gives everything in his army 6++ regen, and gets a hit on the Peg Knights, which I save. All his army moves forward, and the X-Wraith come close to the Peg Knights to scream on them. Vampire count magic phase. He gets 5 dice. He tries to do my darkness the Peg Knights. Obviously, he's gonna scream at them. I cannot have -3 leadership, so I scroll that. He then casts Regrowth. He gets a 15 on 2 dice. 15. Of course, I fail to dispel. I get a meager 9. He gets the Coven to full health, he gets 1 Wraith back, and he gets 8 Skeletons back. And they all get always strike first. In the shooting phase, as expected, the Wraith shoot, or scream, I should say, on the Peg Knight units, and rolls a 4, which is fortunate. That 4+2 of the Coven is still less than the 8 leadership of the Peg Knights. If he had Doom and Darkness on them, it would be a different story. Combat phase, the Coven and the Ghosts, who I forgot to mention, reform and face the Peg Knights in the previous round, cause no wound. They need 6 hits to wound and gets none. The Peg Knights get 3 hits, 3 wound, but it's saved. Bretonnia turn 2. The Peg Knights on the left charge the Dire Dogs, thinking maybe I will be able to reposition and redirect the Graveguard unit later on. The Knights of the Realm wisely decide to charge the Ghouls, not the Graveguards, and lose 1 due to dangerous terrain. The Questing Knights do the same, they charge the Ghouls, succeed, and get 2 wounds due to dangerous terrain, but pass 2 war saves. I then move my Pegasus Lord closer to combat. I position him there, thinking that should protect part of my Knight of the Realm flank. If his unit of Graveguard takes the bait, then they are so wide they should not allow both units of the Vampire Lord Skeletons and the Corpse Cart to get into the flank of my Knight of the Realm. For magic phase, unlike my opponent, I get a 2 and a 1, and the Vampire count channel 1. Not very good. I have 3 dice Whiston Wildforms on the Pegasus Knight in combat with the Coven, and I get double 6 and a 4, so that's fortunate in a way, you could say. I miscast 7, so that's strength 10 wound on every model in contact with the wizard. So I get 8, including the 2, well, the Lord and the BSB. The Lord takes a wound, the BSB passes its save, the champion ward saves, and I lose 3 out of the 5 knights. Bretonnia turns to shooting phase. We need to do something about this Graveguard block, so my archers with their brazier and flaming attacks shoot at them, score 5 hits and 2 wounds. Fortunately, only 1 is armor saved. That means they have no more regeneration. The first trebuchet then scatters away from the unit, but the second one scores a hit. 20 hits in total, 11 wounds, 9 dead. Pretty good, thanks to removing the regeneration. In the combat phase, the combat with the Coven and Pegasus Knight is a wash. The Pegasus explodes the dog, and I then decide not to reform. With a hindsight, maybe it was a mistake. I should have maybe used the Pegasus to hold the Graveguard and take away their charge, and then support with the Lord and the Lance. Well, hindsight 2020. The combat with the Ghoul block or brick, the Knights of the Realm and the Questing Knights do very well. In total, with the charge, the combat resolution comes, we win by 13, so can't complain. Lost a few, but that was a good combat. Vampire count turn 3, the Coven does its thing, and Snake Eyes, so it takes a wound. I'll take that. The Graveguards then charge the Pegasus Lord as expected, takes the bait. The Vampire Counts try to charge a Knight of the Realms, but cannot pass because the Corpse Cart is there and there's no space between the Corpse Cart and the Graveguard. The X-Rays by the Coven charge the Pegasus Knights. In the magic phase we get 5 and a 1 with both channels, so that 8 versus 6 dice. With the Coven, he gets 18 with 3 dice for Doom and Darkness. I can dispel it on the Peg Knight. He gets 16 with 2 dice on reroll to hit. I can't dispel that either. And then with 2 dice he gets a 12 on regrowth, and I've dispelled that, which is awesome on the Graveguard. In the shooting phase, the X-Wraith gets the boombox out and scream on the Peg Knights, who are plagued by Doom and Darkness. Gets 7 wounds, and now question. Let us know if we did it wrong, but we played it as you would do a ward save for each of the wounds, as opposed to a ward save for the scream covering the 7 wounds. So we think it's more fair this way. So regardless, it didn't change the outcome. I only ward save 1 of the wounds, and the Peg unit is dead. In the combat phase, the Graveguards versus the Peg Lord. The Graveguard smashed the Peg Lord's face. He's really kitted to fight monsters and be a very big annoyance. So yeah, a bit underwhelming. He only does 1 wound back, hitting first and on. And unfortunately, the Graveguard were placed in such a way that when they kill the Peg Lord, they overrun and clip my lance of Knight Errants with my general in it. The cart, the Ghouls versus Knight of the Realm do a couple of wounds, but the Knight of the Realm and the Questing Knights really go to town on the Ghouls and explode the unit, and with combat resolution and so on, both cart and Ghouls unit disappear or crash. After that combat, the Questing Knights and the Knight of the Realm reform a bit, so they are in range and ready to charge the Coven throne. At the start of Bretonnia turn 3, the Peg Knights oblige the Graveguard and charge their flank. The Knight of the Realm and the Questing Knight charge the Coven throne through the ruin. Yet again, another amazing magic phase for the Bretonnians. I get a 3 and a 1. And with these 4 dice, I do absolutely nothing. In the shooting phase, there's only 1 unit really in range, targetable, so everything goes on the skeleton unit with the Vampire Lord and a hero in it. The archers get 3 hits, 2 wounds, and 1 gets through. The first trebuchet gets a bullseye. I place the template such as get 20 hits, which gets 20 wounds, which was awesome. And then the second trebuchet covers the 6 remaining models, and then 1 wound goes on the Lord, which was very good. The turn of event gets for the better. In the combat phase, the Paladin from the Knight of the Realm unit goes to town on the Coven, which explodes, 15-inch radius. Every unit in that range gets 2d6 hits. One question, we weren't sure if the hits were magical or not. We rolled it and turned out they weren't, but that means that they didn't affect the X-Wraith unit. Let us know in the comments if we did it right or did it wrong. Thank you. The Coven explosion causes 6 hits on the Knight of the Realm, 3 wounds and they're saved. 6 hits on the Questing Knight, 4 wounds and 3 Questing Knight die, which isn't good. 10 wounds on the Vampire units, and then the Lord saves, but the hero dies, which is awesome. And then 4 wounds on the Graveguard, which are all saved. Speaking of the combat with the Graveguard, my general goes to town and gets 3 out of 4 killing blows, but it's a bit of a waste on the unit infantry with 1 wound per model. And the Peg Knights get involved, get the stomp. However, turn of event, the Graveguards killing blow the BSB and gets a wound on the Lord. So I get more wounds, of course, with all these attacks, but it's undead. He's got 40 of them. They stick. Now on to turn 4, Vampire counts. The Vampire Lord fails his charge, which is a big deal. In the magic phase, we've got 5 versus 2 dice, and the Vampire counts get 1 channel. He 2 dice reroll to hit, which I let go. He 2 dice reroll to wound, which I let go. Thinking that he's gonna do a regrow, and I need to stop that absolutely. He then 4 dice regrowth gets 21. I 5 dice dispel and fail to dispel, and he rolls a 6 on his regrowth, so that's 6 plus 4, that's 10 Graveguards back. All that hard work gone to. Then straight to combat phase, the Graveguard versus the Knight Errants and the Peg Knights. The Peg Knights and the Knight Errants goes to town. We do loads of wounds. There's only 9 Graveguard left at the end, but during the combat he gets 1 killing blow onto my Lord. I fail my 5+ save and my 5+ wall save due to the blessing of the lady. So that's unfortunate, but it happens. It happens. Damn dice. The Knight of the Realm, which exploded the Coven, just overrun into the X-Race unit, who was straight in front of them, 1 inch away. The Paladin goes to town on them, 3 wounds, 3 dead, and they reform to face back the Vampire Count and the Graveguards. The Knight Errants completely ignore the Vampire Lord.
That's no ordinary rabbit!
And charge the Graveguards. The Questing Knights reform, but they're gonna be out of the game from now. The Archers get 5 hits, no wounds, they needed 6s. The first Trebuchet gets a hit. The second Trebuchet gets a hit, so that's potentially 2d6 wounds, strength 10. He passed both his 4++ ward saves. Disappointing, really. In magic phase, I cast Within the Wild Thorns, but the Vampire Count dispels. With less than a rank remaining, the Knight of the Realm, the Pegasus Knights, and the Knight Errants kill the Graveguard. In turn 5, the Vampire Lord, that's the only remaining unit in the Vampire army, is going for mini mo and decides to charge the Pegasus Knight. In magic phase, he 3 dice rerolled to wound, which I don't dispel, so that's a 1 extra killy Vampire Count for you. Come on, have a guess. Combat phase, what happens? Vampire Count on the flank of Peg Knights. Well, let's put it this way, he explodes the Pegasus Knights. I tried to do my 5++ ward saves, but didn't do any. So that's gone. They break, they flee 4 inches. He rolls a 4 to catch, so he catches them, but then ends up about 2 inches away from the other 2 units. In their turn 5, the Bretonnian units remaining, so the Knight of the Realms and the Knight Errant, wisely decide to make a strategic fallback. I think that's what it's called. So the Knight units made some space, but the Trebuchet failed to land the hit. I've been told that Pegasus Knight blood gives you wings. So the vampire counts, charges the knight errants, and they fail a field check. They get crushed. He overruns trying to get out of the board and safe from the last shooting from the trebuchet, but gets a 7, and he's roughly 2 millimeters away with treble check. 3 meters, okay, 2.5 millimeters away from the board. In their last fight, the Bretonnian artillery tries to snipe the Lord, who's sitting on the edge of the board there, but fail to land. And that's the end of the game. After all that, having lost General, a BSB and a banner, having only destroyed one banner, it ends up to an 8-12, although there is only one model remaining in the whole vampire army, and have about 6 units on the table. That's a 12-8 for you. It was a great game, really enjoyed it. I really like this Bretonnian army. It's the third time I play this list. I think it gives me a lot of flexibility. It's a shame there wasn't any Terrorgeist on the other side, because the Pegasus Lord could have shown a bit more. But at the same time, I guess Terrorgeist are nice to have, and they're nice not to have. In which case, you saw there. Clearly, the Graveguards for me is a big unit to deal with. I think I could have done better. Any comments, any suggestion, welcome. I'm new to the game, and I welcome any help or any tips. I hope you enjoyed this battle report. It's a bit of a different format than the other two reports I've done, but I'm considering changing or adapting, finding my own mark, basically. Any feedback is welcome, and more to come in this channel. If I don't speak to you before then, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Bye bye.